Welcome to another digital marketing deep dive where we're going to take a detailed look at a business that's smashing it with their digital marketing so that you can swipe and deploy some of the strategies that they're using in your own industry to get some incredible results. Today, we're going to be breaking down one of the US's biggest healthcare brands, UnitedHealthcare. In particular, we're going to deep dive their search and AI search strategy because they are crushing it. Take a look at this. 907,000 keywords providing 4.4 million visitors from the US alone inside Google every month. Crazy visibility. But for me, the most impressive thing is that despite all of the change going on in traditional search, with search volumes dropping, AI overviews, all of that, they are continuing to see an increase in traffic. Part of that is because they've managed to parlay their success in traditional SEO and move it over to AI overviews. The little green bars at the top of these are SERP features, mainly AI overviews. So that means whilst AI overviews are taking some people's traffic, UnitedHealthcare has managed to increase their visibility in AI overviews so that they haven't seen too much of a drop. But, and there's always a but, they are dropping the ball in one big area, which is costing them big in ChatGPT and Perplexity visibility. But we'll come back to that later because there's a really important lesson there. But first, let's get some context. What actually is UnitedHealthcare? Well, they are one of the largest health insurance providers in the US. It's a subsidiary of UnitedHealthcare Group, which did about $400 billion last year. And that's an 8% year-on-year increase, so they're huge, but still growing. Undoubtedly, that size gives them an edge, but they're winning not because of their size, but because of their strategy. So let's first take a look at what's going well. Now, we're going to be using Peak.ai today, and they're very kindly sponsoring this video, and they've given us this tool to use free to do our analysis today. So we're going to deep dive into what's going really well for them with this new era of AI search, starting with AI overviews. So this little chart at the top here gives us a bit of visibility indication how UnitedHealthcare is doing against their competitors. We can see that they are this black line at the top, and we can see that most of the time they are winning and winning by a fair margin. Over in this table at the right, you can see visibility 17%. So that means UnitedHealthcare is visible in 17% of the prompts that we're tracking for their business. That's higher than their competitors. Interestingly, something has happened the day before filming this where it looks like everyone's visibility has dropped. So that could potentially be some sort of Google update. We don't know, maybe a future video. But UnitedHealthcare isn't just winning with their visibility, they're also winning with sentiment. Sentiment is how you're spoken about in the search results. So are these tools talking about you positively, neutral, or negatively? UnitedHealthcare is amongst the highest sentiment of all the brands being tracked here. And they also have one of the best average positions, meaning when AI overviews does talk about you, which position are you mentioned? Although it has to be said, all of these are trending down slightly since whatever happened yesterday. Using Peak.ai, you can deep dive into these metrics for any of the particular prompts that you're tracking as well, which gives you the option to diagnose specific issues if you are seeing a drop. But that's not what we're doing today. So why is UnitedHealthcare doing so well in Google's AI overviews? One of the reasons that they're doing very well is they have a lot of visibility in the websites that are being cited by Google's AI overviews. If we head down to the sources tab, we see the websites that are most often contributing as sources in these AI overviews answers. So across all of the prompts that we're tracking here, these websites are being cited most often, and we can see how often they're being used, so in what percentage of those responses they are being cited, and the average number of citations per answer. So what does any of this mean? Well, let's go over to Google's AI mode and just ask, which is the best health insurance currently? We get a response that recommends Kaiser Permanente, UnitedHealthcare, and Aetna, amongst others, and we can see a comparison table here. Over on the right hand side, we can see the websites that have been cited as sources for this response. The aim of the game, obviously then, is to be found on these websites so that when Google's AI overviews or AI mode is compiling this answer, it's seeing your brand being mentioned and it pops you into its answer. That's exactly what's going on here. So that's why we want to get featured on these websites, which are frequently being cited as a source for the responses that we're tracking. Make sense? Cool. Now, UnitedHealthcare might look at this and think, yes, we're doing pretty well here, but What if we want to do even better? Well, if you just toggle the little gap analysis thing, what that does is it shows you the domains that are being cited, but where you're not being mentioned. So this then becomes your shopping list for websites that you're going to get featured on. Some of these are your competitors. Kaiser Permanente, for example, is a direct competitor to United Healthcare, so it's unlikely that they're going to feature them. So what we might do instead is just focus on some of these other types of sites, like these ones, which are the ones that we're more likely to be able to get featured on. We can then see, right, we want to go after Forbes, Verywell Health, Aging Care, Investopedia, GoodRx. We can then go and deep dive into some of the URLs that are being used here as well, if we want to see if we can get featured in those articles. The best health insurance in Georgia of 2025, for example. Let's go and see if we can get mentioned in that listicle, because that'll increase our visibility further. So that's the offsite portion of the strategy that's working well for them, getting featured, getting recommended in third-party websites. But before we go and take a look at the content strategy that's helping them do so well in traditional search and AI overviews, let's take a look at one area that really isn't going so well for them. Now, if we go to the top of the Peak AI window, you'll see we've got this little AI overviews toggle. If we take off AI overviews and instead go for ChatGPT, we'll see quite a different story. What we're doing here is we're having a look at the same prompts fed into ChatGPT and having a look at United Healthcare's visibility in that. And in that case, visibility goes from being number 1 to actually being number 3. Like AI overviews, it fluctuates day to day, but the pattern is clear. United Healthcare is much less dominant inside ChatGPT than it is in AI overviews. Now, this is only an issue if you want to get in front of the hundreds of millions of people that are moving their search behavior from traditional search engines like Google over to ChatGPT. So what's going wrong here? How can United Healthcare be doing so well in AI overviews, but not so well inside ChatGPT? Well, a lot of this comes down to the way that each AI model likes to cite sources. If we go over to the Sources tab, for example, and we compare the sources used in Google's AI overviews results, we see that we've got healthcare.gov. It's used 44% of the time. This is an official government website all about healthcare. We've got GoodRx, we've got Mayo Clinic, WebMD, and YouTube. And all of these are cited in more than 20% of cases. If we switch this over to ChatGPT, we notice a very different citation pattern. Healthcare.gov is still the top site, but it's only used in 9% of responses. Wikipedia, which really wasn't a top source at all for AI overviews, is the second most popular source cited by ChatGPT. Then we've got Mayo Clinic, then WebMD, then drugs.com. So actually we have a very different type of website being cited here, and those citations are spread much more evenly across a wider range of websites. Unfortunately for United Healthcare, their visibility on some of these sites is nowhere near as strong. On Wikipedia, for example, they are much less visible than some of their competitors, meaning that their visibility on ChatGPT is lower than it is on Google's AI overviews, and they're losing out to competitors as a result. If we take a look at Perplexity's citation profile, we see a completely different mix of sites. Here, Reddit is the top cited source with a massive 35% usage in citations. So if you want to get Perplexity to recommend you as a health insurance provider in the US, you need to be talked about in Reddit. If we click on this, we can actually see the specific threads that are being cited and whether United Healthcare is being mentioned. And we can see that lots of these, the answer is no, they are not being mentioned. So if you're United Healthcare and you want to improve your visibility in Perplexity search results, getting some people to recommend or mention you in these responses, in these threads, is going to be on your priority list, given how popular Reddit is as a citation source. You might be thinking, oh my gosh, United Healthcare, they're part of a $400 billion company, and even they can't get this whole AI search optimization thing right. How are we going to compete in this new era? Well, the good news is you absolutely don't have to be a $400 billion behemoth to make the most of this. We work with loads of clients, large and small, to help them improve their visibility in AI search. And it's not just about how big you are, it's about tailoring your digital PR strategy to get the right coverage in the right places. Let me show you an example. One of our clients, Aged Care Bathrooms, is a much smaller business than UnitedHealthcare. They install accessible bathrooms generally for older people. So our challenge with them was to increase their visibility to help them punch above their weight in AI search results. We did this by loads of different things. We did digital PR. We started a change.org petition. We ran a study with YouGov to get some press attention on the struggles that over 50s have when they're bathing. We then went out to the press with the results of this study. We then did follow-up articles to get even more coverage. Our goal with all of this was to position Sam and the Aged Care Bathrooms team as real high authorities in this space. That means that when these AI tools went and did their research to recommend a particular brand or company to do this type of work, they would see aged care mentioned lots of times across the internet and would perceive them as being much higher authority. And this works. When you ask ChatGPT which companies install accessible bathrooms for older adults in the UK, it recommends aged care. And importantly, it picks up all of the key messages which we've been seeding the internet with about why aged care is a great business to buy from. And by the way, if you want to increase your brand's visibility in AI search, the team at Exposure Ninja can help you. We've got a range of services that help you increase your visibility in all of these AI search platforms, but the best place to start is by requesting a free digital marketing review. In this digital review, we'll take a look at your visibility across the different AI search platforms, and we'll point out some things that you can improve over the next 3 to 12 months to significantly boost the number of times these platforms are recommending you. We'll also take a look at your other digital channels like traditional search, paid search, and your website's conversion rate as well. We'll turn all of this analysis into a video which we'll record to you and send to you usually within 2 to 3 working days. This service is free and it's incredible, but not everybody is eligible, so you do need to apply for it at exposureninja.com/review. Okay, back to UnitedHealthcare's story. The second key to their incredible visibility in AI overviews and their potential to dominate ChatGPT and Perplexity is their content strategy, particularly what goes on their website. The content on their website is brilliant. We're going to take a look in more detail in just a second, but the reason that it's so important to have incredible content on your website is not only does it increase the number of times that these AI tools are going to cite your own website content as an answer, thus increasing the chances of recommending you in that answer as well. But it also increases your chances of getting links and mentions on other websites, which then increases your chance of getting mentions in the AI answers when those websites are cited. Got it? And we can see UnitedHealthcare's own website is being cited in 17% of AI Overview's responses that we're tracking, which is really healthy. So what is their content strategy? Well, it is the classic pillar hub approach that we're applying to so many different businesses across loads of different industries. What does it look like? Well, they've got this massive knowledge-based section on their website all about health insurance. They've got this pillar piece of content here, understanding health insurance, and think of this as the center, the hub piece of content. Now, this gives an overview of the different subtopics within health insurance, and it links out to other articles in the topic of health insurance. For example, how does health insurance work? What are the different types of health insurance? Open enrollment, how to choose a plan, Medicaid renewal. All of these are subtopics in the category of health insurance, and it allows them to cover this subject from loads of different angles. If we go a level deeper and click on the types of health insurance, we see we've got another set of subtopics coming off this subtopic. So different types of health insurance, Affordable Care Act, ACA marketplace plans, the difference between ACA and short-term health insurance, Medicare can work for you, how to apply for Medicaid services. They've produced loads of content, and by structuring it like this, they make it really easy for users and AI tools and search engines to find the information that they need. And look at how it's structured in their URL. You've got understanding health insurance. Remember, that was that key pillar piece of content. and then you've got this subtopic, types of health insurance. Now we can go a level deeper to the subtopic of this main hub piece of content, understanding health insurance. We can see that reflected in the URL. Understanding health insurance is the pillar, the types of health insurance was the subtopic, and then we've got this understanding HMO, PPO, EPOs, etc. as a subtopic from that subtopic. So think of this almost like a constellation of content. It's really nicely structured, and it means that they can cover this subject from every possible angle. There's a specific piece of content for whatever question you or an AI tool might have. And yes, it goes a level even deeper than that. Look at this, understanding HMO, then there is a separate subpage for HMO plans. So we've gone pillar, subtopic, subtopic, subtopic. But it's not just about having this content, it's also about structuring it in a way that is AI friendly. Now, some of this content is pretty AI friendly, it has to be said. We've got these nice comparison tables prominently at the top of the page, which these AI tools like to use, also pretty good for searchers as well. If we wanted to be extra picky, and we often do, we might want to have some information about who wrote this content, what their expertise level is as well, just to add a bit more credibility. But there we go. And we can see how they're winning here. If we go back to look at AI overviews, what's the difference between PPO and a highly deductible healthcare plan? Well, it's that blog that is being cited here. Because it's ranking well, it's a good piece of content, and it's structured in a way that these AI tools like to cite. So what's the lesson here? Well, the lesson, of course, is thinking about your content strategy, not just about how much content can we publish, but thinking about structuring it in this way, this hub and spoke or this pillar content approach that we so often talk about on the channel. This is an excellent example of exactly how you can do that in a very thoughtful and considered way. And just to give you an example of a client we've worked on this, there's a private hospital chain in London, which I cannot name, and we worked with them on exactly this strategy to help them increase their visibility in traditional search, but also in AI search as well. We actually rebuilt their on-site content section because whilst historically it was very focused on medical terminology and it was very detailed technical information, that was great for healthcare practitioners, but it wasn't really who they were targeting. Who they were targeting was actually ordinary people who might not be using medical jargon to describe their condition or their symptoms. What they were asking is, what does a FibroScan test involve? Or what happens with gallbladder removal? By focusing on key topics that we knew the audience was interested in and covering those topics from lots of different angles, and then by structuring that content in a way that helped the AIs to cite it more often, we were able to generate for them a 10x increase in their monthly conversions. And they've got multiple pieces of content on their site ranking top positions for over 300 different keywords. We also help them get their content featured in publications like Reader's Digest, which is a great trust signal both for humans but also for these AI tools. So what are the lessons to take from this? Well, firstly, just because you're winning in traditional search doesn't mean you're going to win in every area of this new AI search. We've seen with United Healthcare, they've been able to parlay their success in traditional search into visibility in Google's AI overviews, but not necessarily into ChatGPT and Perplexity. For them, this comes down to being featured in the sort of websites that these other tools are citing more often. But the key to visibility in all of these AI tools is to make sure that you're seen across the internet in a range of highly authoritative websites that these AI tools are citing in their responses. You do this through digital PR, you can do this from coming up with studies and surveys and going to the press and getting attention for your brand. But it's also crucial to have a really solid on-site content strategy. And what's traditionally worked with SEO is just writing blogs about individual keywords that you want to rank for. But what we're seeing being much more successful nowadays is a much more considered approach, which starts with what are the topics that we want to talk about and then breaking it down into this topic cluster strategy. Today we've looked at United Healthcare, but actually this approach works in any industry. In some ways, healthcare and insurance is a great space to look at because it is so competitive. So if you deploy these strategies in your industry and it's not as competitive, you should see some incredible results. So if you want to take some lessons from healthcare, an incredibly competitive space, and deploy them in your business in a bit more detail, we also have this video, which is a healthcare marketing masterclass on how we help this business go from 60 to over 300 monthly leads in just 9 months. Until next time, see you soon.